Yo, what's going on, you guys? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'll be going over how you can expand / upgrade and overall make a bigger inventory inside of Roblox Jailbreak. However, I just want to mention that I've got a lot of content on my channel that a lot of people have been enjoying, so who knows, you might too. An additional thing I want to say is please make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you find this video helpful. Without further ado though, let's get started. Alright, so I guess you could call this a part 2 from the second video I did, the how to get rich one, and if you haven't seen it and you still want to get good tips, I do recommend watching that, because as of right now it seems like 22,000 people needed that, so who knows, you might too. Anyways, let's get started. So the number one step to getting a big inventory is to have something at the start. And if you don't have anything such as the concept or 2 1-mils, grinding is your best option, because as I said in my last video and I'll say it again, grinding is one of the best ways to get rich overall, since you not only get cash when grinding, but you also get pity. And for those who doesn't know what pity is, it's basically percentage per robbery, and depending on what level you got, it takes slower amount of time. Alright, so now that we know that we've got a concept and 2 1-mils, it's time to flip it. Now, let's say that you've got those items which are Bolt Bike plus drone plus concept, and the reason that those are the best 1-mils are simply because they're best demand. Now, congratulations, because now you've got a value at around 4.5 million. Now, for that, I recommend you either keep on grinding for it to get an additional 2 million and land at 6 mil so you can afford an M12, or if you don't want those extra 2 1-mils in value, you can honestly just go for a Mac. Now, Mac isn't a bad car, and it's so good looking, so not only you get a good car, but it's also really fast, considering it reaches the max speed of 200 miles per hour, which is pretty good considering it's a seasonal car. However, if you do go for those extra 2 mils, so you're at 6 mil, you can now trade for an M12. And the reason I would rather want you to grind for the M12 is simply because it's easier to upgrade. Because once you're at M12, you've grinded quite a bit, so you should be able to have 1 to 2 hyper level 1s, and if you're lucky, you might even have a level 2. So now that you have an M12 and 1 hyper level 1 and even a level 2 if you're lucky, you can keep on grinding the hypers onto the next level. But you can trade the M12 for an JBA if you want that. Now keep in mind though that the M12 is better stats wise, but personally I'm a bigger fan of the JBA, and depending on who you're asking, it's 1 to 2 mil more. But some people with JBAs even ask for an M12, so take your chance while you can and abuse its demand. Well, look at that. Now you've got a JBA and a level 1 / level 2. So by now you should have grinded for about a week consistently. If not a week, you should have been able to complete this within the first 2 weeks. So now it's not much more than to do than simply just grind for another concept and hope that you level up the current level you've got. So now we're on week 3 / 4, and you should by now have at least 10 million. And if you got that level 3 from earlier weeks, you should now have a level 3 no matter what color it is. Just make sure that you're consistent. One other thing you need to know is just to simply just grind the seasonal cars, because in the end, if you're lucky, they can be help in the future sometimes. And hey, I mean, they are free, so I don't see a reason for you not to get it. And if you're really consistent and really want to get rich faster, I do recommend you grinding it on 2 accounts. So if you don't like trading OGs, you still have your OG one, but you can trade your alt one. And yeah, now you've pretty much got something to actually trade with without getting instant grind. Now, what you want to do, unless you want to get the hyper to a level 5, is just to jump into a trading server. However, while you're still developing your garage in the early months, you can't make any L trades, because if you ain't got more than the stuff I just talked about, your in will decrease heavily, and it will probably end up with you quitting. Instead of doing that, you should always check your lists. And if you got a Discord, you should look up your trades in a JB value server, which directs you to a better trade. And for your information, there's always someone in that server being active. Alright, so now that you're in the trading server, you need to know what your goal is, whether it is to upgrade your inventory value or if it just is to upgrade your cars, because that is a big difference. If you want to upgrade your cars, I do recommend, as I said earlier, that you should be getting all limited cars on 2 different accounts, because then you don't need to trade your mains OG, but you can transfer your alt OG to trade out a week or 2 later after the car has been added to the trading world, because if you trade it early on, you don't get to see the average value on it and you might be missing out. However, it is a big risk, but that's at least what I would have done. You do you though. So now that you got a level 3, a JBA, and a level 10 car, this should be a decent start for you to go your own path. But let's say that you're unlucky but still manage to get the JBA value and a level 10 car but no hyper. Well, then I recommend trading the JBA for 3 level 2s, or if you're lucky in trading, you might even get 4 level 2s. However, don't go for the most expensive ones. Instead, go for like the museum, J-Store, or train. Or just get a level 2 that you got most pity on. Specific things I do want to mention is that you actually look up value sites. I'll link them down below if you're interested. And yeah, that's pretty much the end of this vid, because now you know how to get a starting inventory. This was purposely made for starters though, and yes, don't worry, I will be making a video for more richer people so you guys know how to downgrade and all that good stuff. But as I said earlier, there's a lot of content to check out on my channel that a lot of people have been appreciating, so you might appreciate it as well. However, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See you guys.